Hello, LPC family, and welcome to another installment of Faith in a Minute. A question I often get is, why do I wear a clerical collar? Why do I wear this? Isn't this a little bit Roman Catholic? Well, back before the Reformation began, Roman Catholic clergy would wear things called vestments, different kinds of robes and sashes, hats, and outfits that were intended to evoke memories of the Old Testament priesthood descending from Aaron. The idea was that there was continuity between the Old Testament priesthood as the ones who made the sacrifice and the Roman Catholic priesthood who made the new sacrifice. When Protestantism arose in the mid-16th century, there was an emphasis that there is no real distinction between clergy and laity in terms of spirituality. Pastors are no spiritually different than any other Christian. We're not spiritually superior, and so our clothing should not reflect a different class of people. So throughout the Reformation, there was an emphasis on simplicity on clerical garb. The way that this played out is that there was an agenda to make sure that pastors dressed in a way that was respectable, but was also identifiable as a pastor, particularly when it came to worship. The way that this began is that pastors began wearing simple black robes during the worship services. The idea was that nothing about the pastor would be visible, so the mind of the congregation could be focused on the preached word of God. Now, as history progressed, that respectable uniform for worship evolved. Sometimes pastors would wear suits or other clothes that were in fashion. Sometimes they would continue to wear the black robes. In Scotland, in the mid-1800s, pastors began wearing clerical collars. The Presbyterians actually invented it. And there's different kinds of clerical collars. There's some like the single tab here, some of the white band all the way around the neck. But it began as a Presbyterian item of clothing for Presbyterian pastors, a respectable uniform that identified them as pastors in worship. What actually ended up happening is following the First Vatican Council of the Roman Catholic Church, Roman Catholic priests started borrowing the clergy collar as part of their uniform. The purpose of the clerical collar and the clerical uniform was for pastors to be presented in a respectable, reverent way in worship that was identifiable as clergy. So usually at this point someone asks me, well, why don't you wear a robe, Cameron? For a very simple reason. I wasn't used to it when I came to LPC. I never worn a robe before and I find them uncomfortable. But I wanted to continue to dress in a way that was respectable, reverent, and identifiable in worship as the pastor of the church. The collar is historically Presbyterian, so instead of inventing something new, I was able to wear something that keeps me and keeps our worship grounded in the historic practices of the Reformed tradition. The idea is this helps match the vibe of our liturgy, that we are people in the 21st century whose roots go back to the ancient church through the Reformation in the way that we come to God and His Word. And this isn't new for LPC. I'm actually not the first LPC pastor to wear the clerical collar. Benjamin Pace, the first long-term pastor for Langhorne Presbyterian Church, would wear the collar plus preaching tabs, which you can see on the photo that's been inserted here. If you'd like to learn more information about the clerical collar and its Presbyterian origins, you can read the article that's linked in the description below. Well, that's all for this week, and I will see you next time on Faith in a Minute.